On lonely nights when silence drowns out the world and the forest whispers secrets you're not meant to hear, there are places better left unvisited. Tonight, we enter the story of an Airbnb hidden deep in the woods, a place where guests check in, but not all of them leave the same. Before we begin, remember, if you enjoy spine-chilling stories that make your heart race and keep you awake at night, make sure to subscribe. That way, you'll never miss the horrors waiting in the shadows. It was October 2022 when Claire and Daniel, a couple from Seattle, decided they needed a weekend escape from the chaos of city life. Scrolling through Airbnb, they found a listing that seemed too good to be true. Secluded woodland cabin, rustic charm, total privacy. The pictures showed a cozy wooden cabin tucked between tall pines, a fire pit out back, and a trail leading into untouched wilderness. But what caught Claire's attention most was the price. It was far cheaper than anything else in the area, almost suspiciously cheap. The host's profile had little information, just a first name, Evelyn, and a single smiling emoji in the bio. No reviews, no details, but the listing said, "Perfect for couples seeking peace. Once you arrive, you'll never want to leave." Daniel laughed at the wording. "Sounds like a horror movie tagline." Claire nudged him. Or maybe just bad marketing. They booked it anyway. When they arrived late Friday evening, the road was nearly impassable. Their car rattled along a dirt path, barely wide enough for a single vehicle, swallowed by forest on both sides. By the time they reached the cabin, the sun had dipped, leaving only streaks of fading light through the trees. The cabin looked exactly like the photos, maybe even nicer. Warm light glowed from the windows, and a small welcome note was taped to the door. "Welcome, Claire and Daniel. Make yourselves at home." But here's the thing. They hadn't told the host their names. At first, they brushed it off. Maybe Airbnb automatically shares that info. Maybe it was nothing. But a small unease settled in. Inside, the cabin smelled faintly of pine and something else, something metallic. Claire noticed a row of framed photographs on the mantel. They looked like old guests, couples, families, even solo travelers. All smiling, all sitting on the very same porch outside. But when Claire looked closer, her stomach dropped. Every photo had something off. In the background, always partly obscured by trees, was a figure. Sometimes just a blur, sometimes clearer. A tall woman with long dark hair, standing still, watching. When Daniel came over, she quickly laughed it off, pretending she didn't see it. That night, they settled in. The woods outside were silent. No crickets, no rustle of leaves, just stillness. Around 2 a.m., Claire woke up thirsty. She padded into the kitchen, poured water, and glanced at the window. Her heart froze. Out beyond the glass, at the very edge of the tree line, a woman stood, perfectly still, watching the cabin. Claire blinked. When she looked again, the figure was gone. The next morning, she convinced herself it was a dream. They decided to go for a hike along the trail behind the cabin. The woods were dense, suffocating almost, and the deeper they went, the more Claire felt watched. Then Daniel stopped. Ahead of them, nailed to a tree, was a wooden sign, "Don't leave." The letters looked carved by hand, fresh. Daniel chuckled nervously. Probably some creepy joke from locals. But Claire noticed the wood was damp, as if it had just been carved. That evening, as they lit a fire outside, Claire finally mentioned the figure she saw at the window. Daniel tried to reassure her, but his eyes betrayed his own unease. Then, while tossing another log on the fire, Daniel froze. "Claire," he whispered, "don't turn around slowly." She felt the hair rise on the back of her neck. Against every instinct, she turned. There, beyond the flickering firelight, stood the same woman from the photos. Long hair covering her face, her body unnaturally still. When the fire cracked loudly, she vanished, like she had melted back into the shadows. They didn't sleep that night. By Sunday morning, they'd had enough. They packed up and left in a rush, barely glancing back. But just before the trees swallowed the cabin from view, Claire looked over her shoulder. The porch light was on, and there, standing in front of the cabin, was the woman. Only this time, her face was visible, pale, hollow eyes, locked directly on Claire. When they got home, shaken but relieved, Claire opened the Airbnb app to leave a review. But the listing was gone, deleted. Out of curiosity, she searched for the host's name. Evelyn. Nothing. But that night, as she scrolled through old photos on her phone from the trip, she stopped cold. In the last picture Daniel had taken of her smiling on the porch, there standing just behind her shoulder was Evelyn. And her mouth was stretched wide in a grin that was anything but human. Some getaways promise peace and quiet, but sometimes silence is the loudest warning of all. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more chilling tales. And remember, when you're scrolling for that perfect Airbnb, always read the fine print, because not every guest leaves a review.